What's up guys, it's USA Specialist, and whoever thought we'd still be playing Battlefield 2042 in 2024.
Soldiers with no country left to fight
for. The U.S. and Russia are both being accused of fielding armed no-pats in an escalating fight over vital resources.
As we now look towards year 3 of Battlefield 2042, it's rather amazing to see just how far the game has come, but also embarrassing to see just how short this game falls when compared to titles like Battlefield 1, Battlefield 4, and other live service offerings like Apex or even Call of Duty. Like I've said in the past, Battlefield 2042 is now a rather fun and reasonably polished experience at this point in its long and slow existence. Jumping on occasionally with friends or logging on to grind the Battle Pass can be satisfying, and the game is overall a much more stable and consistent experience than it was 18 months ago. With another season being confirmed, patches and balancing being a big focus, and cosmetics continuing to come in, it seems like a safe bet that Battlefield 2042 will continue on its stable yet stale existence for around another calendar year, in my opinion. Around Season 3, the game really solidified its personality, balance, and content cycle, and ever since, Battlefield 2042 has been stable, albeit content dry and predictable. At this point, as the game's lacking live service drags on, I sort of see Battlefield 2042 as simply a stepping stone for EA, DICE, and Ridgeline. Battlefield 2042 was one of the worst AAA game releases in decades, and fans haven't forgiven DICE and may never. 2042 was supposed to be Battlefield's great leap into the live service world with a seasonal model, a focus on Hazard Zone, and heavy monetization to rival the likes of Warzone. But even EA understood that after that spectacular disaster that was their COVID development cycle, a delayed release, and shareholder outrage, even they understood there was no saving this game. The best thing they could do was make sure the fans eventually got a worthwhile product for their money, and try to break even as they bought time, saving their reputation before the next title. As we enter 2024 and EA continues to support Battlefield 2042, I don't see the game as a live service anymore, but instead I see it as EA buying time as they restructure their staff, create a new studio, and try and reinvent a franchise that finally fell into the grave. Battlefield 2042 is a fun game that at face value has been saved, but I think it's part of a much larger, long-term plan to restructure the franchise as creative control is now brought stateside under Vince Zampella and Marcus Leto, and DICE is now acting much more as a production agency with new management. While it's painful for the moment, I hope the fewest people possible are working on 2042 so that the majority of leadership and development horsepower can focus on whatever's next. Early 2024 is probably when we'll start to hear those rumors about the next game, and after 2042, EA and company are totally out of excuses. In the words of Enders, the pandemic is over, you hired the dream team, you fired and replaced people, you got all the feedback you need and more. If the next Battlefield game sucks, then shut down the studio and sell the IP. I really hope EA is taking a slow and strategic approach with so many new devs joining, teams expanding, and shareholders still furious. So far, their doubling down on Battlefield 2042 has been promising, and I hope the lacking content is just a sign of how much talent is working on the next iteration of the franchise. It's a real shame that 2042 had to die for EA and DICE to finally get the message, but there is a glimmer of hope. With Season 7 being confirmed and DICE revealing a new logo for the next iteration of Frostbite, it does appear that the leadership is taking the time to make needed changes. A whole new studio based in the same city as Microsoft, Bungie, and Epic, leadership being hired from games like Halo and Apex, a new iteration of Frostbite, new staff top to bottom at DICE, and a 3-year break in the dev cycle all seem like great signs. Hopefully 2024 is the year Battlefield 42 takes us smoothly into the next title's announcement and keeps fans engaged as the hype builds. Battlefield 2042 did so many things right for me. Its art direction, cosmetics, and gunplay are great, but it's a shame it doesn't have twice as many maps and support like a game of this caliber should. But here's to hoping EA and DICE are sacrificing 2042 for the betterment of the franchise and the health of the next title. If I were to place a bet, I'd say we get an announcement sometime mid-2024 and perhaps a release date later this winter or fall, as it has been 3 full years, but even with 2042's minimal support, that does still feel ambitious. Maybe Battlefield 2042 is supported until the end of 2024, and then we get a few months break before the announcement mid-2025. But drop your predictions in the comments below. I'm sure EA wants to put 2042 behind them as soon as possible, but 2024 still feels a little early to me after such a huge disaster and company-wide shakeup. Either way, stay tuned and subscribe, and as always, thank you guys for watching.